tour around, and it was a very good day. We had great fireworks, thanks to Mr. Blake for going and getting them, and thank you for Jesse Moore for taking care and shooting them off. I think everybody really enjoyed it. We're now in the process of doing some of our closing. We have 3 more weddings coming up, so the main closing won't happen until after the 3rd wedding. And we're getting information from Linda for costs and everything, so we'll be able to present the selectmen with the budget for next year, what we have to do.
That will be good. You'll be able to shut the Comcast off for the winter?
Well, I don't know.
One of you nods yes, and the other nods no, so we'll research that.
Yeah, just to let you know, I asked her, can it be shut off, or did I would hate to...
Yeah, don't expect you to answer if you don't know.
Yeah.
Any questions or comments for Bobby? It was a nice music festival, very sweet and well attended, a little bit that I saw. Mr.
I will hop around and cover the social media police aspect.
You're proposing that we establish social media police?
Absolutely.
Oh.
No, it's come up a couple times, and sometimes it's come up around certain websites that seem related to the town but may not be related to the town. For example,
You tell a lot about a person by his ringtone.
Sometimes it comes up around websites or Facebook pages like Alstead Chronicles or the Bible school pages that are popping up and things like that. I just want to reiterate that those are not operated by the town in any way. They have nothing to do with the town. If people want to start things on Facebook and have conversations there, they're more than welcome. The selectmen do not direct anyone in how those pages are operated. We don't have anything to do with them at all. So if you ever see anything on Facebook or other social media, or hear it at the dump that, well, I talked to so-and-so and the selectman said that, ask one of us for, dig through the meeting minutes or come to meetings or things like that. We've just been, I think, pretty united through at least the last couple select boards on avoiding social media as best we can. Other than, if people post their own stuff, that still does not represent the select board.
Right. At this point in history, the only 2 ways we communicate with the public besides face-to-face are minutes and these recordings. So I don't envision any change in the short or midterm to that. This board isn't going to change that behavior. We do not have a Facebook page, and we don't expect to get one.
Until we're ready.
Until we're grown up.
There we go.
Bobby, thank you very much. Go home and get some rest. I did this already. You guys read the minutes yet?
Fifth paragraph should be updated, modified on given instead of an up. Given up on the HR. Todd said he's given up on the HR committee.
Maybe that's what it is.
I don't remember that happening. Fifth paragraph.
I think you've got last week to me in there.
Do I have the wrong minute?
There we go.
Number 3?
Yeah, and that was not updated, so I should.
Oh, boy, somebody did big trouble now.
Yeah, I'll change it online. I didn't, nobody picked that up. Did another week today.
I guess that's number 8.
Yeah, well, we had a September 4th.
There's a September 1. That's what I grabbed it out of.
Oh, yeah, it's 8. I'm good.
Good to me. Comments, questions? okay, Mark? Yeah. Okay. I thought you were still leaving. So we're good to go with the minutes, and maybe we'll get them right this week. Glenn, is there any reason why we shouldn't award that sale of that truck right now?
I don't see any reason why we should not.
So if you're interested in the process, this was something that Glenn taught us how to do a couple of years ago. 45 people decided they had to own that truck, and they bid the price up to $7,600. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
So, I propose that we vote to accept that bid and move on. Good with that?
76 on the three.
And I think that's pretty good. Thank you very much. I know you were looking for more, but that's certainly more than I expected to get. So as long as we continue to work that way, we'll be fine. You look for more, and I expect less. We meet in the middle.
On their plan.
Just out of curiosity, where were you thinking it would go?
That was actually the lowest. Several were going up around 85.
Gotcha. So somebody got part. Have we got rid of a truck?
Well, they haven't driven it.
That's true.
Or looked underneath. Police chief search update. Today was the day he was to take his agility test at Fall Mountain High School under state police supervision. I do not have a report.
Last I heard, he was still trying to make his way around the track.
Stop that. Just stop that. See? That'll be on Facebook in 4 minutes.
I have no update there.
The Ford Motor Company sent the cruiser lease back because they didn't like the way it was aligned on the paper. I'm not kidding. They required Mr. Reitman to sign it again in 35 places and send it back to Michigan. So we've done all of that twice. And I'm less and less interested in doing business with those people. But we're getting closer. Linda and I and the LGC have been working on dates for the deliberative sessions. And could you just read them off? Write them on the
I
board?
did not. I was gonna when I didn't look them up again.
Well, I think this would be a good time to publish them. We set them last week,
Right.
pending a note from LGC.
Has it changed?
They,
Yeah, did they change from what we had talked about?
no, the only
No.
open question was when would the hearing need to be, and what was the last date for petition warrant articles?
I found that out. That was the 11th.
Yes.
I'll go get it.
Chris, whatever you're finding there. Okay. So we know when we're voting. Right? Be the second Tuesday.
It's a race between all the devices.
It would be.
We have the hearing on the 12th of January.
Hey, that's my birthday. It's great. 12th of January for the hearing, which is a Tuesday.
And February 6th, I want to say was the, okay,
Oh, right.
It's not my birthday.
thank you.
Yeah, say the deliberative again.
2-6.
2-6. So 112, 2-6, and 3-8. You can remember that. So the reason we're doing this now is so as not to surprise the school, which I inadvertently did last year and generated a great deal of bad feeling. I decided to take that. And the petition warrant article question has been important. The deadline is not set by us, but it is a real one. How many 12?
112.
It's the Linda Intercom, we call that.
That's Tuesday, so it's
Tuesday.
And if it is a bonded one, which we probably aren't gonna have, it's the Friday before, which is the 8th. Would you explain that again?
I want to make
Okay,
sure
on
that
one-
it's Tuesday.
What is?
Well, I'm hoping 112 is a Tuesday.
Yeah, it is a Tuesday.
Okay, so
112.
112.
if it's a bonded issue, it's the Friday before,
Right.
which is the 8th.
8.
We haven't done a bond in forever.
Right.
And is 112 for both the hearing and the last day at, I suppose, 5 p.m., 4 p.m., we would accept
Well,
petition warrant articles.
what I'm thinking is, maybe I better check on that hearing date, because I can't believe that they would let petitions warrant articles come on the day they have a hearing. I think it has to be 30 days before.
Well, I don't
Let
think we
me
should,
check.
I don't think we should speculate. Why don't you figure it out and let us know?
Yeah, I will.
Because that's the least important stage for me. The one I really wanted to nail down was the delivery section. And thank you for your help.
I'll email them tomorrow.
So we'll try to get that on the website.
And then we'll get it on the website, yeah.
And my thought was that we attach it to the front of the AABC report.
I don't know if we can, because they're doing a postcard. And it takes up the whole
I
side.
could put it on the front with the picture of the panda usually goes.
And
Is this an actual postcard size postcard or
Yeah,
half a sheet? or
half a
eight and
sheet.
half?
So their intent was a half a
Sheet.
sheet
Okay.
size postcard.
Who's doing the double-sided printer?
they're coming and doing it here.
They being,
Mary Ann Wolf.
okay. So they're using our printers, they're just kind of,
They're
okay.
gonna cut it and
It
stuff.
seems like they could print 2 copies, do a double-sided.
No, but on the other side of that has to be postal paper and then it has to be the.
Exactly, and down below, somewhere to the left, like I see on my junk mail all the time, there's all kinds of
Okay.
stuff on there. I'm hoping we can do that, we could double check, could we double check?
I'll check with the post
Post
office.
office,
Yeah.
just a little block that says important dates.
Well, she's gonna be here tomorrow to do it, so.
Yeah. So this would be good.
Yep.
And that gives you some urgency for the hearing.
Right.
confirmation.
So what if, well,
Pick up the phone.
yeah,
And if you have a question,
I'll
you can ask us.
email.
We're all in town.
right.
Okay, yes, thanks. All right.
And even if we're not, email works.
So is the intent to mail, I said the ABC wants to get this out pronto.
That would be,
She asked what day was gonna be available.
what day would be the most inconvenient for Linda?
No, most convenient.
I'm just wondering whether, I hope the select board doesn't require an entire week to review each printed copies. Are we gonna be around to review that, or if somebody's here, can they take a picture of it, send it around so we make sure everybody sees it? Because we're supposed to be providing some review of that, does that work?
That works for me.
Okay, we'll do that.
I've seen the draft and approved that, and you and I couldn't find anything wrong with it. Even though we looked.
I tried.
Looking for a comma, renegade comma. HR Committee Health Insurance. Who wrote that?
That was one of the questions that Chris.
I did. Because, Glenn did. No, I mean, Glenn brought up the issue of escalating healthcare costs, which we're all familiar with, everybody's dealing with it. Town's no different, it affects all the taxpayers. Glenn brought this up and said, hey, we really should be having this kind of a conversation while we're kind of getting into the budget season, and I agree with that. I just wanted to bring it up to discuss. What I don't want to do is say, I know you're almost done with all your work, but could you just figure out Obamacare and healthcare for me? Just still deliver it by the end of the month, that would be great. Realizing that's not realistic to ask of him, then maybe this is an opportunity for us to team up with maybe somebody from the AABC, somebody from the select board, any other interested parties, to try to see if there's a better way to do this.
The most of the amounts are up, nothing has come out yet for what they're gonna go up to this year, for January. It won't come out until October, probably.
Fair enough.
On any of
What
them.
you should do, I mean, if you really want to look into this, you talk about separately as a township or collectively with other towns, or?
Well, other
Well,
towns
I
all-
mean, you've got to do, what we have found is that of the companies, of the townships that we've surveyed, most are using pieces of health trust.
Which is what we use.
Which is what the township is using. And the reason for that is, collectively, if you will, Health Trust serves a group of towns, therefore making the population much larger than, say, Alstead would go. So if Alstead went out and wanted to get quotes, the same exact quote against the same exact provider, Alstead's numbers are going to be higher.
Absolutely.
Okay, so,
The problem with the state of New Hampshire, though, also, you're locked in. Once one person quotes your health insurance with a particular company, say it's Anthem, you're locked into those rates no matter who the agent is. And I know that.
oh yeah, because the insurers, not the agent so much, okay, the insurer is the one that calculates the number.
True,
Cost.
but you can't go to another one and say, calculate my,
But,
quote my insurance, and if they go with the same one, you get the same quote.
But what you could do, just to add what you're saying, what you can do is to get quotes from different insurance providers.
True.
Okay.
You only have
But if
three.
you're using Aetna, for example, you're going to get 5 quotes from Aetna. It's all going to be the same quote. That's what I believe you're saying.
Yes.
But if you go to Aetna versus Anthem versus Blue Cross, Blue Shield, whatever it is, you're going to get different pricing. But my point is that because Health Trust is so large as a group of companies, you're probably not going to beat those prices unless an insurer is trying to buy your business. But Alstead isn't large enough to have that leverage. If we had 300 employees, we're going to get better pricing than we would if we had 8 employees who are.
I gotta tell you, some of the rates we're paying for the employees, they're high.
Right. So I guess my point wasn't just let's go out and shop insurance with other companies, which is one way of doing it, but what alternatives are there out there to the town? I know the select board last year talked about Obamacare. Can we put all these people into the public system, and would they pay less? Would they get the same kind of coverage? Questions. Are there, compacts isn't the right word, but it's almost like an insurance trust that some religious organizations have formed, that everybody pitches in and pays, and then they're sort of self-insured. Those options are out there. My overall question is it a good idea at this time to try to get a couple people together to take a fresh look at how and how much we're paying for health insurance? That's.
I would be very interested in pursuing that.
Well, we've got one volunteer. Anybody else?
I should volunteer my husband because he.
You can't do that if he's not here.
Because of before the flood, he had approached you and said, have you checked into, at the time, and I don't know what's going on now, health savings accounts?
Right.
And with catastrophic insurance backup.
We already do that now.
Do you do that now? That's
The new employees are on that.
But have you thought about
I think
implementing that with current employees?
I figured it out with the current employees, and it comes out if we pay the premiums for the health, for the,
Actually, what we're trying to do is schedule a meeting, not
Right.
have the meeting.
the question is, do we want
So
to?
I want to.
Okay. And I think there is a spousal exemption for volunteering.
No, absolutely not. It's much more trouble than I am.
I'm volunteering, Joe.
So if we want to do that, then anybody who's interested, maybe email me, email Joel, email Rock, and we'll try to get something set up.
Set up a date.
And I can end that topic.
Okay, thank you.
The only thing is you should remember, if you did now, it will be last year's prices until the new prices come up.
Any comments from HR? You were 45 years in HR, and I know the landscape is changing pretty rapidly.
Yeah.
But any advice you'd care to offer?
Well, it was interesting. Last year, the rates were like, 2%
went down.
increase. That's unheard of. I mean, I'm used to rates of 20% a year going up. And that's what drove all the interest in healthcare, because healthcare is a large cost. And if you look at the budget numbers, our healthcare is a large cost to, well, like a part of your budget, but it's a big number. So the point is, those prices are down. They're never going to go, they're down as compared to what they used to be. Those prices never go down. You're not going to get a decrease in rates, okay? So we could take a look at it, but what I'd be happy to, at least a part or an advisor to this committee, because I've done a lot of benefits work, but not in the public sector. I don't have any experience in the public sector. I don't know that it would be so much different, though, because insurers are insurers, but I could be wrong. I don't know how you do it. But if what we're looking for, if what the proposal is, let's just look to see if we can do better or what the alternatives are. That's one thing. You could offer alternatives. What the committee has done and what you'll see in the report in the next few weeks is we've compared the percentage that the town is paying compared to what other towns are paying for similar insurers, regardless of who they are insured by. And because that was the big issue that came up 6-8 months ago when I started this process. It'll be in the report because there are at least, I think, 12, if not 14 towns that we're comparing ourselves to. But what I'm telling you, inside of that data, most are using Health Trust. Not all of the pieces of Health Trust. For example, dental and vision, et cetera, and short and long-term disability, Health Trust offers all of that stuff inside of their offerings as offerings for towns to select, but not every town has all of it. So we did not look at cost of that insurance. It's just how do we compare with what we're paying versus the other 14 or 15, how many other towns it was.
Sure look forward to seeing that.
Absolutely.
It will be helpful.
Please do that.
And where there are differences, and it's not just, quote, Health Trust, you'll see in certain of those benefit listings, because we've listed them all, okay, well, almost every benefit that could be provided, we even give providers, because some of them went outside, and and they're completely outside of the Health Trust offerings, but yet they still offer the benefit. And the only way they could come to that conclusion is to then do some sort of what you're looking to do, maybe go out to 5 or 6 different providers and see what the costs are, and let them quote it. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything for them to quote. But what I'm saying, because of the size of the town, you're not going to get really good pricing. That's why the collective Health Trust organization would probably, hands down, in 99% of the benefit offerings, have better pricing because of their size.
Absolutely.
The only fact I have at my disposal historically is that the 2 times that we have been shopping, we proved your point.
Actually, we did go to another company a while ago. We
Okay.
got Cigna and Harvard
And
Pilgrim, and they were lower
For 1 year.
for 1 year.
It's too bad we weren't larger, because then you have some clout.
So everybody in the room who wants larger government in Alstead, please raise your hand. Other news from HR?
No, we're progressing. We're actually, the intern issue is still up in the air. Tonight is the last night individuals supposed to be back, and I haven't heard from them. So I might be asking for a little bit of assistance in the conversion from PDF to Word. Once it's in Word, we can then manipulate it. But all of the fire department, for example, ones that we have, the job descriptions that we have, are in PDF format. My converter doesn't work, but you had said. And then the other issue, I know that Rich reached out to you. I don't know. I'll find out Thursday what the outcome of all that is.
I've responded, and I haven't heard back from
Okay, all right. So other than those 2 issues, and we're talking about organizational chart and the job description piece, Okay, everything else is complete.
Okay, well, please pass back to them that I will continue to be your unpaid intern, providing all the value that that is
Yeah.
worth.
Yeah, well, I'm giving this person one.
Yeah, I can't promise you a lot of time, but I'll give you what I can.
No, I
We'll
understand.
see if we
I
can
understand.
Cool,
So that's where we are.
thank you.
The MSG met last Thursday night, and right now the fire department has formed a truck committee. That committee consists of 4 of the guys on the fire department, 4 of the officers. And we had asked them to make a list of pros and cons of the different types of trucks out there, pumper rescue combo, and then just a rescue truck. Right now they are focusing on the combination of a rescue pumper truck. They've generated very preliminary truck requirements. We've got to go through that list with them. They're going to look at similar trucks in nearby towns and work with Valley Fire in Bradford, I want to say. But they understand there's a need for multiple quotes. One question came up in that regard. There are a couple of websites out there where people are selling used or refurbished trucks. And, at the off chance that something comes along that looks really nice, how do you put the capital reserve to use to buy something like that?
Hey, you do a market.
Yeah, okay. That's what I figured.
Now, that could be a negotiation with the vendor, saying, we really like this thing, we'd really love to buy it, we promise to buy it at this price if you can wait until March 9th. But we cannot spend that capital reserve before then, and the selectmen can't spend it at any time. We say at the pleasure of the voters.
Couldn't even put a deposit down. So,
Not out of the capital reserve, but out of other funds you could, so.
Do we have like a?
Not really, because it wasn't in the budget.
If a deposit was a commitment to purchase, then the answer would be absolutely no.
Okay. All right, that answers that question. Another question.
I was just looking at, are we looking at, do we need one within a certain span? Are they saying 2 years, 3 years, 1 year?
The truck that we have now is an 87, and it needs TLC to stay on the road, so.
So there is some urgency, although not enough urgency to go off path
No,
without
not at all.
any research. And
Not at all.
But the warrant article could be worded that you could do either or, new or used. when you buy the warrant.
And based on our experience with the police cruiser warrant article, I'd say that's probably a pretty good thing.
be sure to put the exact year you.
Yes.
And the color. I don't think,
It's called a BRT, big red truck.
I'm not even going to specify red.
Yeah.
Okay, door status, I called Bergeron again. They said they've been backed up, was still fixing water damage from last winter from some of the problems they had, so they said they would come out and give us a quote at some point. Juan Bailey has not called back at that point. The FEMA class is Thursday night, and that is a grant writing class for the Assistance to Firefighter grants, and George Moore and I will be going to that in Keene. And then it sounds like it's a very cursory overview in terms of what the timelines are and how to get help with it. But the guy from FEMA that I've talked to sounded very, very helpful, and he comes highly regarded, highly recommended, so hopefully that'll help. And then the last thing was the mutual aid with Charlestown. Kim asked about the status on that. He hasn't heard back. Apparently Langdon, Ackworth, and North Walpole have already signed on with them, but because he had some concerns and wanted to know that it hadn't come back from the attorney yet.
It has not. Linda and I will follow up on that. Perhaps it never got there. I'm quite sure it did.
I didn't have.
We'll do it again. It's all right. So it's a pretty simple thing. There was concern that the Charlestown boilerplate mutual aid agreement contained a liability clause that made me really nervous.
I think it made Kim nervous too.
And so, rather than sign it on the spot, I think we decided to seek some legal advice.
So at this point, we do not have another meeting scheduled right away, because the fire department has some items that they've got to deal with. They probably will take a trip up to Valley Fire, and I would like to go along with that. I don't know about any of the other members of the committee, we'll see, and then see what they have to say. I mean, there was some concern that we spent a lot of time with Valley Fire and went out for off-team bids, so we told them to be upfront with Valley Fire in terms of this is what we've got to do, and we like you, you're close by, but.
Well, Well, I suspect the selectmen believe that if you're buying new, you need multiple bids, but if you identify a used piece of equipment that
That's
needs to
another
needs, that's something else.
Be harder to do apples to apples. Now, the people putting together the spec, that's just fire department, right? You guys are not involved in that?
Yes and no.
Kind of helping them
Yes.
with the process, or, okay.
Yes, and what George gave me was, again, very preliminary, as he put it. You know, there's some need-to-haves and some nice-to-haves, and I mean, I noticed, you know, again, sometimes looking at it from the outside in, you read things in a different manner. You know, he had like the length of the truck not to exceed a certain length. Well, okay, not to exceed, but how long do you really want it? You know, so little things like that we've got to start whittling down. So.
Yeah.
But, and some things they hadn't thought of by talking to Valley Fire as well, and then we'll network with some of the other towns around here, because more and more people are buying these things, so we'll see how they work made out and suggestions they have, so, you know, hopefully we'll get this done in a reasonable time frame here.
Thanks.
Questions for this young lady? Comments? Gratitude? Sticking with it. It's been a long year.
Vested interest, and this one's our health to come down.
ABC, who speaks for them?
We met last week, and I think the focus was mainly on the postcard, and talking about going forward with some of the different department budgets, and that was about it. So.
Actually, they are getting, some of the people, I would assume the subcommittee, are getting with people with questions
On budgets.
on budgets.
That can be.
So that's good. It's already too late.
I got a couple things from the ABC notes. Joel's reporting program, so they're still producing data.
Collecting data.
Collecting data. If it's a link to get to or something like that, could that be provided to them so they can start to try to decipher some of that?
Absolutely.
I thought that's what you'd say. And some of it was talking about how the budget process may look. I think you guys are still supporting a monthly budget to try to give some flow to the year. I think that's a good idea, and I think we'll support that too.
You know me long enough to know that I'm really concerned about the last quarter of the year for two reasons. One is that we don't have any authority to borrow or overspend. And two, that's when the unpredictability of the weather has the most financial impact.
You bet.
So we have in the past done some data mining for fourth quarter highway, it's primarily wages, but some fuel and repair. That data still exists somewhere on your computer, and I think that'd be helpful for everyone to look at. It's not actually as highly variable as you would think,
That's good.
which is sort of interesting.
Yeah, so I think that the driver behind that is, you know, we see our budgets throughout the year and we say it was, this budget's 10% spent, 20% spent, 30%. You know, if we hit June and everything's kind of around 50%, we're like, all right, we're good, right? But that doesn't reflect how our finances go. Money flows in and out in big chunks sometimes. And if we can break that stuff down by month, then we'll have a much more accurate picture of where we're at. We may look completely good by the general numbers in July or whatever, but we may actually be really short based on historical trends. So that'll be important. I think that's a great thing for those guys to do, I think.
I think, looking back at the minutes, that the major focus was really on DPW, just because I think that committee has done the most digging into stuff. There was some talk about salaries, and there was also some talk about the financial planning tools, looking at that other software in terms of how we can use it to try to calendarize things and go from there. But that was pretty much about it.
That's a ton of work. Questions for the ABC? Comments, gratitude? Yes,
Sure, okay, just as a question, what I think I heard you say, correct me if I'm wrong, is that budgets can be put together, and like you said, we look at a 6-month snapshot and hey, everything looks cool. But if there's gonna be a big spend come third quarter, fourth quarter, that money may have already been spent, even though we're looking at it overall. So what you're looking for is a spend at the end of each month, because depending upon where it is planned to be spent.
Yes, if we have a spending plan that goes along with our budget, then we
Right.
get a better picture of where things are at.
Yeah.
And it's not just DPW. I mean, we have annual payments for things like, what, insurance?
Insurance comes July. It's
Right.
July 1st every year, and January 1st for workman's comp and that. You
Right.
know what the,
So we spent half the month going, why haven't we spent this? And then, oh my God, we're down at zero. You know,
Right.
So,
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I really do.
but,
So, I mean, Chris, what you're talking about really is a basic cash flow analysis.
yes,
Is that what you're attempting to do? Because that's,
yes,
and some of that you can actually, you may be able to manage
Well-
once you see what the patterns look like.
exactly. And we could use very expensive tools to put that together. We
the
can
cash,
profit out to.
the cash flow in this government is mostly, the flow in is mostly after taxes, and both the two taxes in June and December are your big months. The rest of the stuff, there's not much cash flow in.
You
Well-
really want to go to an AAPC meeting. I think you could provide valuable insight to this whole process.
I don't want to go to another meeting.
Maybe have Kelly take notes one time here.
Okay.
I think for your comfort, you should know that when we're talking about cash flow, we're talking about it in both directions.
Right.
And the primary focus of that discussion was out.
Okay, well, out, you'll find, we can't really predict sometimes, because like if you're buying a truck, it's when you can get it done. Now, the other year, we almost didn't get the truck because it was ordered so late that it was December. So if it had been in January, we would have been in trouble.
I think more what we're looking at is like, pick on David here, but like,
He's used to it.
April, he's doing sand and stuff like that, so that's where that hump, we got $40,000, $50,000 all of a sudden going out for that particular item. I think that's more what we're looking at, is the actual flow, the actual.
And you will find that this year was totally different than any other year that David has been around. You know why?
Ideas of it.
Yeah. Right.
Normally, my stuff is done by June, or the middle of July, at the absolute latest, then I'm on to culverts and maintenance. But paving, gravel, sand, striping, everything's done. And then I'm on to my normal, which I hope to get back to that, because
Normal will never be
this
done.
year's crazy.
Closer to normal. More like normal. Yeah, so that's it.
Yep. Well, I think that's good stuff, and I keep thinking that we've already paid for the software tools that will do this. We just need to hire some smarter people like me, smarter than me, to run it, or buy some training.
Well, let them come up with their recommendations. I don't even want to put my foot in that yet.
So, friendly meals,
All right.
that's you.
That's all right.
I got a report.
I got a friend. I got a friend who.
You got a friend who's hungry?
I got a friend. I thought that was news in itself. I got a friend who does some barbecue stuff on the side. He bakes cheesecakes. I'm not here to hand out his business card or anything. But he does really good stuff. And he's trying to take this small business from being in his kitchen, where his wife complains about him making too much coleslaw for serving barbecue, to a commercial kitchen. He had talked to the community kitchen in Keene. Turns out they're not offering this service anymore. They don't offer the ability for small businesses to go in and use their health inspected commercial kitchen. It so happens, if I am correct, the town of Alstead has something to do with this building back here.
We own it, lock, stock, and barrel.
We own it lock, stock, and barrel, and currently the only people that use it are Friendly Meals.
We don't own the stones and stuff.
We do not own,
But
No.
okay, to continue. This building over there is filled with some stuff that's useful to my friend, and it's a building that's useful to my friend. And we kind of talked about it and thought Meals is an organization that always needs donations. The town of Alstead, I don't think we'd find too many taxpayers that would mind having some part of the utilities of the town of Alstead paid by commercial business. If there were some way we could work out some relationship so that if my buddy needs to bake cheesecakes or anybody else wants to strike up a deal, say with Friendly Meals, in return for some sort of a donation for some amount of time to go in and bake for a night or cook for a day when they're not using it, why not? That is the nuts and bolts of what I'm proposing. And
You're proposing to generate a proposal.
I'm proposing to get your feedback on this concept, this idea of renting out a space, knowing that the people that own the bulk of the equipment in there are completely fine with it as long as they get a little bit of a donation.
We're gonna need some kind of liability waiver, so the town's not responsible for anything.
We would ask
They would have to have
the
their own
selection.
insurance, I would suspect, that would.
All those questions can be addressed.
Yeah.
Well, is there insurance currently because Friendly
Yes.
Meals is using it?
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Any other thoughts, ideas?
How often do they use it, the Friendly Meals?
Twice a week, but sometimes the churches use it if they got to bake turkeys, and if Friendly Meals is doing roast beef or hams or beef stew, they might start a day early, like they'll start cooking the night before, and they serve on Tuesdays and Thursdays, which leaves the other 5 days usually out of there. An understanding would be that somebody would have to maintain a schedule of who's using the kitchen when and things like that. I think it's an interesting idea because I came up with it. No, it's an interesting idea because I've known other people that have had small businesses involving food service, and the biggest challenge is always, where do I do this stuff? And if I do it at home, you know, am I opening myself up to some sort of liability because a health inspector doesn't come through here? So anyway, and I really like the idea of, you know, we don't know if and when Friendly Meals is going to be able to seriously contribute to offsetting some of the costs that the town incurs, that they benefit from. And I think the town benefits from Friendly Meals, but could we do that?
I think the other thing you might want to consider too, if you've got two or three different groups using it, that there's some kind of a definitive plan over what the responsibility is for cleaning up and maintaining the place. Otherwise, there's liable to be a lot of finger pointing.
Yeah, we've talked about that too.
Sort of like the kitchenette in the dorm.
Yeah. Is anybody, Rich?
Yeah, I mean, I personally think that's a good idea. Anything you can do is facilities to generate income to offset expenses. The first question I have is, you contemplating an arrangement between the town and the third parties, or between Friendly Meals and the third party, or, you know, you have to look at how that would be structured. I mean, my inclination would be it would be an arrangement between the town and the third party. But, you know, again, those are issues that you need to work through, along with the liability issues and insurance cover and other things. But personally, I think anytime you can get benefit from an underutilized asset, you ought to be doing it.
Thank you. We talked about that a little bit. I kind of fell in the middle. My initial thought was, if I can keep all this between Friendly Meals and the third party, then Friendly Meals can just provide us with some money towards our electric bill and let them work out the details. But you're right.
I think that they're not, again, a personal observation, I don't think they're the best administrative folks and have the best business sense for working out those details. So if we were going to go that route, they need a lot of help and then in addition to that, they need a lot of oversight.
Yeah.
I mean, just because it's not a business in a business sense, and I don't think a lot of the folks that are involved there have the skill sets and the knowledge to manage something like that effectively.
Agreed. Good points, and I think you changed my mind.
I agree, and
Wait, you and Rich agree?
No, I didn't say I agree. I do agree that you'd have to look at how to do this, but I do, and I also don't think you'd want to look into if you were gonna have somebody oversee it and have to hire somebody to make sure everything went.
I hope we can do it without that
Right.
sort of overhead.
But it's still not gonna, that's not gonna manage, that's not gonna manage itself.
Yeah.
That's what we be sure.
No.
Yeah, but I question whether it requires a dedicated kitchen manager for Alstead unless it.
No, I think it's gonna be more in the scheduling.